I'm here to turn this 158 horsepower motor into a 240 horsepower motor because that's what this MR2 needs. These are the balance shafts, and we're going to be taking those out. We're going to advance the cam, the intake cam, by about 1 tooth, which will turn it from a high efficiency cam to a high performance cam.
There you go. Not actually a very heavy compressor, so you know, it's maybe 15 pounds, maybe 10.
Seems about right.
Every little bit helps.
So at this point, we're about 8 hours or so into the wiring. There's a couple reasons behind that. We've decided to use the Haltech ECU, and the reason we're doing that is because we're using the double Atkinson style build with a second intake cam in the exhaust position. The stock ECU simply doesn't know how to deal with that. The Haltech is fantastic. In this case, we've got 2 cams that advance, even though that's really not a factory configuration. The Haltech is more than happy to deal with that. It's very flexible in that sense. It's also going to allow us to do logging when we're on the track. But for street builds, the really convenient thing about this swap is the Scion TC actually uses the same style of connectors. I actually sell a stock ECU that's been tuned and with the immobilizer that's been removed. And at that point, you've got 7 wires to swap, which I document, and 1 wire to crimp. So there is an easier way. In this case, we're just going with the Haltech because we do need some of the advanced features for this exact engine build.
So while Mark has been building that wiring harness, I've been working on the significantly less impressive task of making little homes for some of these Haltech sensors that we are going to be installing along with Mark's new wiring harness. So first off, we have the E85 sensor. This is going to allow us to run flex fuel, which is going to be really cool. So we'll be able to run, you know, all the way from almost no ethanol mixture up to E85. Then we've also got this wideband controller, also from Haltech. This is gonna give us a lot of data that we wouldn't be able to get with the OEM 1ZZ's narrowband sensor. This is gonna hold down the new small battery that we are installing at AGM, and that is gonna go right here on the cross member, like that, which is gonna move the center of gravity just a little bit lower. It's a little bit lighter than the battery that we had in here. And the reason that we're not going to use the factory battery mounting location is because that is where our intake is going now. Mark has made some very, very nice Frankenstein Motorworks mass airflow tube. And that is gonna mount where the OEM battery would have mounted, like right about there. So Mark just installed this little aftermarket fuel line, and we're just bolting it in place so it doesn't move around, but it passes up through here. It's E85 rated, and it goes through our flex fuel sensor, and then it will go into the engine, and we will have E85. Yay! Just using some degreaser that we picked up from Advance, along with like literally almost every tool, almost every like fluid or whatever that we're using in this video we got from Advance at one point or another. The whole build is kind of powered by Advance in more ways than one. But just cleaning up the engine bay a little bit, huffing some of this purple power. I'm cleaning up because the engine is very close to going in.
Okay, about another 6 inches or so. All right, stop. I think we're gonna go a little bit further down, but I just gotta check.
If you recall, last year we installed the roll bar on the MR2, and we have to switch up the direction of the bolts just in one spot in order to get ourselves a little bit more clearance on the firewall with the 2AR, because this motor is bigger than the 1ZZ. So we've just been flipping these bolts around, and then we'll try and put the engine back in.
Oh, hey. Okay, I was able to slide it forward as we went. we might be able to get it from here.
Okay.
So go ahead, keep going down. So something to note as you're putting engines in and out of this thing, the threads in that mount are mild steel, and they love to cross thread.
Okay.
So you always want to make sure that this one, you get it started by hand. The engine is now hanging, so you see these straps are loose. It's hanging from both side mounts, so we got to get the front mount and the rear mount. The rear mount still needs the cross member to be installed.
So we're here at Advance because one thing that we forgot was I got this motor out of the junkyard, and we need to change the oil filter. Even though it's only 50,000 miles and it seems like it was really well maintained, you know, we're not just gonna send it out with whatever oil filter's in there.
Mark's doing a lot of wiring, so he's gonna need a lot of tape.
One of the expensive parts with engine swaps ends up often being the axles. The axles in this case, we got really lucky. Toyota reuses a lot of these same inboard and outboard splines. And in this case, the 91 RAV4 actually uses the same one. And we ended up having to buy 3 RAV4 axles and kind of remixing them at the joint. This inner joint right here, we just pop it off of all 3 axles and we reassemble them together, and that gives us the exact axles we need for this application. So RAV4 somehow bolts into the EB60 and the MR2 Spider. It's pretty convenient when you go digging into Toyota's parts bin.
So while Mark is getting battery stuff set up, a couple of things that we want to do just general maintenance wise before we start getting to the point where we're firing up the engine. Of course, this is a junkyard motor that we're starting off with, so any of the maintenance consumables are still things that are going to have to get changed, which means we went over to Advance and got a bunch of spark plugs. We got a couple of the OEM Denzos, or maybe the OEM is NGK, I'm not sure. The correct spark plug, and then oil filter. Yeah, gonna just do some basic maintenance before we try and fire the car up. Okay, so we are under the MR2 for the first time with the engine in.
Yes.
And the trans, and right now we're filling up the trans.
Yes, one step closer to starting.
I feel like
wonderful.
we're so, yeah, why are we filling up the drivetrain? It sounds like we're about ready to start it. So we've got a bunch of Valvoline manual transmission fluid. We're using Valvoline Synchromesh MTF transmission fluid. This is specifically designed to protect the synchronizers in the transmission. And we are just gonna start chucking this stuff into our new trans axle, which we got direct, brand new from Toyota. This is like one of the few OEM parts that I just got.
Oh, wait.
Yep.
I did a stupid.
Oh, you're good. Oh yeah.
No, it's on the wrong side of the piston.
It is on the wrong side of the piston. Okay. There we go. So how many quarts does this take?
Just a little under 3.
Okay.
Valvoline Synchromesh MTF is also engineered for extreme pressure and pitting resistance, anti-foam performance, and corrosion protection. It also has enhanced thermal stability protection, which this MR2 is going to need.
Okay, and now we have this is good. We're filling up the engine now. We've done the transmission and we're gonna fill the engine. Just gonna use some nice low weight 10W30. Higher weight than what the engine actually calls for. Back when it was in a hybrid car, they wanted a 0W20, but we're gonna use 1030 VR1 from Valvoline.
Valvoline VR1 is the go-to oil for motorsports because of its high zinc formula. The zinc provides extreme protection for engine bearings, preventing wear and keeping the engine running strong on the track. The synthetic version is also boosted with moly, zinc, and phosphorus to provide extreme anti-wear protection. This is the same motor oil that Ben and I both run in our Evo and Civic.
And then what, 2 out of 3 fluids done.
Yes, we just have coolant after this.
Yeah, awesome.
But you know what? We're not even gonna wait for coolant to start it.
I like that. I like the way you're thinking.
We've got the mass airflow tube here and this lovely bracket to hold it all in place. And that's going to complete our intake.
How close are we?
We should literally be minutes away at most.
So what all does this programming the ECU entail?
So this is Haltech, and I've got the base tune from my race car that I'm going to put on here, and that's going to be good enough to idle for tonight. We've got a whole bunch of stuff that we have to set up different for this car, but all the basic sensors and everything, they're all the same. So I'm just going to put my race car's tune on here, and we'll fire it up. and idle. It doesn't have an accelerated pedal right now, so no revvies. We don't have to worry about that. Ready to go?
Yes.
All right. First fire, here it goes. Okay, well, that's fine.